We've talked a lot about synthetic belay jackets on our channel over the last few years. Oh, look how small they pack. Oh, they loft up big, don't they? Aren't they warm? I hope you're not getting bored of it, because we're going to do a little bit of that today as well. But this one really does need talking about. This is the Dustlight from Patagonia. The Dust Parka has been in Patagonia's range for years now. The Dust Parka was an incredible classic piece of kit that was really warm and built for really harsh conditions. But it was a bit bulky, and it's really not what people are doing in the modern way of climbing. Everyone wants it lighter and smaller so they can go faster and take smaller bags. And this now fits in perfectly with that. So to really understand why the Dustlight is so good, we first need to talk about the micro puff. Now, a few years ago, Patagonia brought this jacket out, and it really sort of changed the game on synthetic jackets. So synthetic jackets, as we usually know, coat with moisture and dampness much better than down. Even though down jackets can often compress smaller and loft up more and offer more warmth for their weight, they're really pretty awful in British conditions where we get wet. So if there's snow and on big mountains where you don't want to get caught out with a wet jacket basically. A lot of people want to go for synthetic. Now the downside with that is synthetics usually don't loft up and give as much warmth for the weight as a down jacket would, until this guy came along. So the Micro Puff was the first ever synthetic jacket that had an equivalent warmth to weight ratio as an 800 fill down jacket. Now usually synthetics only usually get to around sort of 550, 600 fill down. Now if you don't know what that means, the higher the quality of the feathers used in the jacket gives the jacket more fill power. It can fill a void more, it has more power to do so. So the higher the number, the more loft it has. So that means you can use less of it, that keeps the weight down. And this is where synthetics usually let themselves down. Once you get to a synthetic jacket that has 800 fill lofting capabilities, then you've got the best of both worlds, warmth to weight ratio and the joy that if it got wet, it'd still be warm, so you get the reliability. So this has proved really popular for us, and why it's so clever is inside here is a really clever installation called Plumafill. Now Plumafill is basically acting like feathers but made by synthetic fibres. Now the stitching is there not just for visual purposes, but it actually stops the fibres from migrating, so it holds them sort of in a line. Now the problem people had with the Micro Puff was the fact that the stitching actually allowed a bit of wind to get in, so it didn't trap as much hot air as sometimes you might expect. And the outside, being such a light packable jacket, was quite fragile. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this is a bad jacket, it's amazing. It packs really small and warm, blah, 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 like we've already said. But the only thing is I wouldn't want to use this Scottish winter climbing or maybe even gritstone bouldering and belaying, just because I don't want that wind whipping through me, and I really don't want to like rip the outside doing stuff with it. Some of our staff have loved this, so you've used it for their bike packing, and they might take it walking because it packs so small in the bag. But if you're going to be a bit burlier with it, that's when you might want to move on to the Dustlight. So basically, the Dustlight took everything that was good about the Micro Puff and then made it burlier and more weatherproof. So the Dustlight still has Plumafill inside it, and this is recycled synthetic fibres, and as you can see the stitching is still there. Essentially what Patagonia did with the Dustlight is added this outer face fabric. What that does is it allows to trap more hot air inside the jacket while stopping wind getting through it as well. So basically you get cozier and warmer. This outer also offers a little bit more durability. I really wouldn't take a Micro Puff to the Scottish winter mountains because I'd just be worried I'd rip it as soon as the ice axes are out or belaying against a granite wall. But with this one I think I would, and it still packs incredibly small. Patagonia reckon with this outer face fabric it adds about 20% warmth to the jacket compared to the Micro Puff, but it is also about 20% heavier, so you can really choose which is perfect for your activity. There's also a few different fit changes they did with this as well, so it's slightly oversized. This is a large, and it is quite big on me, but this is built to go over your waterproof if you're Scottish winter climbing, etc. So it is probably the right size for me. Also, they added a two-way zipper, which means when you're belaying, you can just do that, because my waist is probably going to be about here, so you really want to be able to get to your belay plate while still covering your bum and keeping nice and warm. The hood on this is really nice and big, so it fits over a helmet easily and gets you nice and snugly on the belay. The Dustlight does fit inside its own pocket. Now, I don't always like doing that. I prefer to use like a waterproof dry bag. You can stuff it in there much more easily, because when you're trying to put them in a pocket, sometimes you can get a bit snagged on the zip and you might rip it. And also when it's in a waterproof bag, you just know that when you get to it, if it's chucking down with rain or snow, it's gonna be dry. So it really looks after it the best way. The Dustlight only weighs in at 320 grams. Now that is really light for a jacket of this warmth. Anything else in the market of that weight is simply just not going to be as warm as this. For me, this just makes the Dustlight a really, really usable, versatile piece of kit, because today I'm going to wear it probably to do some climbing in it because it's pretty chilly. I'm also going to wear it when I'm belaying at the top or the bottom. I might take it bouldering as well while I'm in between goes on the project or something like that. But I'm definitely going to take it Scottish winter climbing if I ever get allowed to go again, because it's just going to be perfect for when you're trying to keep the weight in your bag down, but you really need that warmth. So well done, Patagonia, a new mega classic.